Gentlemen, I want you to pause for a moment and really let this thought sink in. What if I told you that the problems you've been told are just part of getting old? The weak stream, the restless nights, the endless trips to the bathroom are not carved into stone. What if the truth is simpler, far more hopeful, and within your reach every single day? No extra medication, no risky surgery. Just small, powerful habits that you can start this week. That's not a sales pitch. It's a reality I've seen with my own eyes after decades in practice. My name is Dr. Jonathan Prescott. For more than 30 years, I've been a urologist dedicated to men's health, guiding thousands of men over 60 through the same struggles you're facing now. I've seen the frustration etched into their faces when sleep is broken 5, 6, 7 times a night. I've heard the weariness in their voices when they say, "Doc, I don't feel like myself anymore." And I've witnessed the joy when those same men return months later, standing taller, eyes brighter, telling me they can finally sit through a ball game, sleep through the night, or wake up without dread. Here's the paradox. The very behaviors most men believe are harmless, what you drink when you drink it, how long you sit, what you put on your plate, even how you carry stress, are the silent triggers behind prostate enlargement. But here's the empowering twist. Those same behaviors, when adjusted just slightly, can actually shrink your prostate, restore bladder control, and give you back the dignity and freedom you thought you'd lost forever. Today, I'm going to share with you 5 proven habits that can reduce urgency, restore your flow, and help you reclaim the confidence that aging has tried to steal. And let me give you a reason to stay with me until the end. The final habit is so simple, so obvious once you hear it, that you'll wonder why no doctor has ever told you before. For many men, that final habit is the key that unlocks restful nights and easier days. Before we dive in, let me ask you for something simple but important. If you haven't already, click subscribe and turn on that notification bell. This way, you'll never miss another life-changing message tailored for men just like you. And right now, before we move to the first habit, take 1 second to hit the like button. Why? Because I believe in marking moments of decision with action. When you click like, let it be a symbolic handshake between you and me, a gentleman's agreement that you're taking your health back into your own hands. And with that action, I want to bless you with 3 things. First, may your nights become quieter with fewer interruptions and more peace. Second, may your mornings greet you with energy and strength, not fatigue. And third, may the years ahead hold not decline, but dignity, a steady reminder that you are still very much the man you always were. That's the spirit of this channel, that's the reason I sit in front of this microphone, and that's why I ask you to take part, not just as a viewer, but as a brother in this journey. Finally, let me know how this opening resonates with you. Drop a 1 in the comments if you feel this message speaks to your life right now. Drop a 0 if you think I could improve, because I read every comment. And your feedback makes these conversations stronger for all of us. Together, we'll shape this into more than just a channel. We'll build a place where men can speak openly, share wisdom, and walk forward with courage. So let's begin. Even if the first habit sounds almost too simple, don't dismiss it. It just might change your nights forever. Gentlemen, one of the most overlooked yet instantly effective adjustments for prostate health is not what you drink, but when you drink. This single shift can turn restless, broken nights into deep, uninterrupted sleep. It can transform mornings of exhaustion into mornings of renewed strength. And it's so simple, most men can't believe it works until they try it for themselves. I remember a man named Mr. Robert, a 68-year-old retired accountant who sat across from me in my office one rainy Thursday morning. His eyes looked heavy, his shoulders slumped. He said, "Doctor, I'm worn out. Every single night I'm up 5, 6 times rushing to the bathroom. My wife says she's given up on sleeping next to me because I toss and turn all night." There was no anger in his voice, just a bone-deep weariness. He thought he was doomed to live that way forever. But as we dug into his daily routine, the culprit became clear. Robert was drinking plenty of water, which, of course, is good. Hydration supports circulation, energy, and digestion. But here's the problem. Nearly half of his water intake happened after dinner. By 8 p.m., his bladder was already filling faster than biology could handle. And when you combine an aging prostate pressing against the bladder with evening hydration, the result is inevitable: constant nighttime urgency. The truth is, biology isn't cruel, it's predictable. As men age, the prostate enlarges slightly, narrowing the passage for urine. Add a full bladder at night and you create the perfect storm. That's why I tell my patients, hydrate earlier in the day. Drink deeply in the morning, keep it steady through lunch, and taper off after mid-afternoon. By the time you lie down at night, your bladder has already processed what it needs to, leaving you free to rest. When Robert tried this, he looked skeptical. "You mean, doctor, it's that simple, just drink earlier?" But the next time he came in, his face was glowing. He smiled in a way only someone who's been sleep-deprived for years can smile. "I slept 6 hours straight," he said. His wife told him she could finally share a bed again. That joy, more than any prescription, was the medicine he truly needed. And Robert's story isn't unique. I've seen dozens of men transform their nights this way. Some call it trivial. I call it freedom, because uninterrupted sleep isn't just rest, it's recovery. Your brain detoxifies, your heart resets. Your prostate itself gets a break from constant strain. Night after night, the benefits stack up until one morning you realize you're no longer a prisoner to your bladder. You own your nights again. Now let's get practical. Here's how to apply this starting tonight. Front-load your fluids. Aim to drink at least half your daily water intake before lunch. Steady in the afternoon. Keep sipping between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. to stay hydrated. Taper in the evening. After dinner, reduce water, tea, or beer to small sips only. This one adjustment done consistently can save you from years of unnecessary exhaustion, and don't underestimate its emotional impact. When you sleep through the night, your mornings feel different. You wake up refreshed, confident, ready to face the day. That sense of control, of not being dragged around by your body, is priceless. Now I can almost hear some of you asking, "Dr. Prescott, does this mean I should stop drinking altogether at night?" No, of course not. Dehydration comes with its own dangers, but the timing is the secret weapon. Give your bladder the space it needs to rest while still giving your body the hydration it requires. Another patient, Mr. James, a 72-year-old former truck driver, once told me he thought it was too late to change. He was used to guzzling iced tea through the evening after long days on the road. But after shifting his fluids earlier, he told me, "Doctor, I feel 20 years younger just waking up rested. My mornings don't feel like a fight anymore." That's the power of habit timing. So tonight, I challenge you, yes, challenge you to put this into practice. Stop filling your glass after dinner, and tomorrow morning notice the difference. Then share it in the comments. Did you feel more rested? Did your partner notice? Because your testimony might give another man the courage to try. This is only the beginning, gentlemen. Timing your hydration is like unlocking the first door. But beyond that door lies something equally powerful: the way you move your body each day. Even simple steps, stretches, and daily motion can restore blood flow, reduce swelling, and bring relief faster than most men realize. And that's what we'll uncover next. Gentlemen, if hydration timing is the first doorway to freedom, then movement is the key that keeps that door from closing again. Most men underestimate how profoundly the body responds to something as simple as daily walking. They think exercise belongs to the young, to the strong, to men who haven't yet crossed 60. But the truth, movement is medicine. And when it comes to your prostate, it's not optional, it's essential. Let me tell you about Mr. James, a 72-year-old former truck driver who spent decades sitting behind the wheel. By the time he retired, sitting had become his default. He'd ease into his recliner after breakfast, flip through the paper, and before he knew it, the whole day was gone. His complaint was the same one I hear from countless men. Doctor, my flow is weak, I feel pressure all the time, and I just don't have the strength I used to. When we dug deeper, the culprit wasn't mysterious, it was his chair. Prolonged sitting chokes off blood flow to the pelvic region. Without circulation, the prostate swells like a sponge. Muscles tighten, inflammation worsens, and what should be a steady, confident stream becomes a struggle. Gentlemen, the prostate is a living organ. Just like your heart or your brain, it thrives on oxygen, nutrients, and movement. Without it, the organ suffocates in silence. I asked James to start small. Not a marathon, not an expensive gym membership. Just 5 minutes walking around his block, once in the morning, once in the evening. He laughed at me. 5 minutes, that won't do anything. But he agreed. A month later, he came back with a smile as wide as the highway he used to drive. Doctor, I don't know how to explain it. I sleep better. I don't feel that constant pressure. My wife even says I've got more energy than in years. Well, what changed wasn't his age, it was his circulation. And I've seen this pattern again and again. Mr. Harold, a 70-year-old grandfather of 5, once told me he hadn't exercised in years because he believed the damage was done. Yet when he began adding short walks and light stretching, the urgency that had plagued him started to fade. He said something I'll never forget, Doctor. I finally feel like I can plan my day again without the bathroom planning it for me. That's the dignity movement restores. Here's what you need to understand. Movement doesn't have to be extreme to be effective. A 20-minute walk after lunch. A few minutes of gentle stretching before bed. Even seated leg lifts or slow pelvic floor contractions while you watch TV. Each of these keeps blood flowing, carries away inflammation, and feeds oxygen back into your prostate. Consistency, not perfection, is what rewires your body, and the science supports it. Studies show that even modest activity, 20 to 30 minutes a day, reduces systemic inflammation, improves circulation, and decreases lower urinary tract symptoms. It's not just theory. It's biology responding to movement the way it was designed to. But there's something deeper here. When you move, you reclaim agency over your body. You shift from being a passive victim of aging to an active participant in healing. That mental shift is just as powerful as the physical. Every step is a statement, I am not done, I am still moving forward. So I challenge you starting today to find a way to move no matter your age, no matter your condition. Take a walk. Stretch your legs, roll your shoulders. Your prostate will thank you, your sleep will improve, and your energy will rise. But movement alone isn't the whole story. Because what you feed your body every day, what goes on your plate, can either undo your progress or multiply it. Some foods quietly fuel inflammation, while others starve it and shrink the prostate naturally. And once you understand this, you'll never look at your dinner table the same way again. That's what we'll uncover next. Gentlemen, let's talk about something every one of us faces 3 times a day but rarely connects to prostate health: food. What you put on your plate doesn't just fill your stomach, it either fuels inflammation or fights it. And when it comes to your prostate, that difference can mean sleepless nights or quiet mornings. I remember Mr. Allen, a 67-year-old retired mechanic who once told me, Doc, I eat what I like. Burgers, fried chicken, sweet desserts. At my age, what does it matter? He laughed as he said it, but behind the smile was a man exhausted by nights broken into hourly bathroom trips. His energy was gone, his confidence shaken. And when I explained that his very diet was like pouring gasoline on the fire inside his prostate, he looked at me with disbelief. But he gave it a try. We swapped out fried foods for roasted vegetables, processed meats for grilled salmon, and nightly desserts for fresh berries. I had him add lycopene-rich tomatoes, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower, zinc-packed pumpkin seeds, and a simple daily cup of green tea. Within weeks, Alan came back a different man. Doctor, he said, I feel lighter, my flow is stronger, my wife says I don't look as tired anymore. What changed wasn't just his diet, it was the inflammation finally easing its grip. Here's the truth. Inflammation is the silent fuel behind prostate enlargement. High sugar, heavily processed and fried foods send constant signals of irritation, swelling the very tissue you're trying to calm. On the other hand, nutrient-dense foods act like firefighters. Lycopene from tomatoes helps reduce oxidative stress. Cruciferous vegetables flush out excess estrogen that worsens prostate growth. Zinc from pumpkin seeds nourishes the gland. Omega-3 fatty acids from fish lower systemic inflammation. Even green tea, humble as it seems, carries catechins that directly soothe the prostate. And gentlemen, this isn't about perfection. You don't need a strict diet plan or a list taped to your fridge. It's about stacking the odds in your favor, one plate at a time. Each meal is a choice: inflame or heal, hurt or help. Slowly, consistently, those choices add up to change you can feel, not in years, but in weeks. There's also a deeper reality. When a man chooses food that heals, he reclaims agency over his own recovery. He no longer sees himself as a victim of aging, but as a partner with his body. That shift is powerful. It restores dignity. It sends a message to yourself: I am worth the effort. I can still change. I am not done. But let me warn you, food alone is not the whole story. Because even if you eat right, your bladder can still sabotage your progress. Most men don't realize they've spent years training their bladder to panic at the first urge. They run to the bathroom at every signal, and over time, the bladder learns to cry wolf again and again. The good news: just as you can train your muscles, you can retrain your bladder. And once you do, the constant pressure that rules your life begins to ease. That's the next habit we'll uncover together. Gentlemen, before we continue to the next habit, I want to pause and do something I promised you. I read your comments. I see your questions, your doubts, your encouragement. This is not a lecture, it's a conversation. So today, let me take a moment to answer a few of the questions you left on our last video. Question 1, Dr. Prescott, I've been drinking less at night, but I still get up twice. Am I doing something wrong? Great question. First, you're already ahead of the game. Cutting fluids in the evening is step 1, but don't forget timing throughout the day. If you're skipping water in the morning and catching up at dinner, your bladder will still be full when you lie down. Shift your hydration earlier and you'll likely notice the difference. Remember, progress is measured not by perfection but by fewer interruptions than before. 2 bathroom trips instead of 6 is still a victory. Question 2. Isn't all this just placebo? If my prostate is enlarged, how can walking or tomatoes fix that? I appreciate the honesty. Here's the truth: nothing I'm sharing is magic. It's biology. Movement improves circulation, reducing inflammation in the pelvis. Lycopene in tomatoes and zinc in pumpkin seeds have been proven in studies to support prostate health. Placebos don't consistently shrink swelling or ease flow. Habits do. I've seen men who were skeptical at first come back months later with less urgency and better sleep, not because they believed harder, but because their bodies responded to real changes. Question 3, Doc, my buddies tell me at 75 it's too late to fix the prostate. Should I just accept it? No and no again. I've treated men in their 80s who made improvements. Mr. Harold, one of my patients, started daily movement at 70 and regained bladder control he thought was gone forever. Age isn't the barrier, it's inertia. Every step, every plate of food, every mindful breath pushes you toward healing. It is never too late to reclaim dignity. Question 4, Dr. Prescott, I think you're overselling this. If habits worked, Big Pharma wouldn't make billions off prostate drugs. Now that's a fair shot. Let me answer with respect. Medications have their place, and I prescribe them when necessary. But pills don't erase poor habits. They manage symptoms temporarily. What I'm sharing is about building a foundation so your body doesn't rely solely on pills. The reason pharma thrives is because most men don't want to change habits, they want shortcuts. But shortcuts rarely restore freedom. Habits do. Question 5. Doctor, do you practice what you preach? Do you walk, eat your broccoli, and time your hydration? I smiled reading this one. Yes, I do. I'm in my 60s myself, and I take these habits seriously because I've seen what happens to men who don't. I walk daily. I enjoy salmon and broccoli more than steak these days, and I cut my evening tea early. Gentlemen, I don't just want to add years to your life, I want those years to be strong. And that means I have to model what I teach. So, to all of you leaving questions, thank you. Keep them coming. This channel only has value if it serves you, if it meets you where you are. Drop a question today. I may be reading yours in our next session. Now, let's get back to where we left off. We've seen how hydration, movement, and nutrition lay the foundation. But even if you master those three, your bladder itself can still sabotage your progress. The good news, you can retrain it, and that's exactly what we'll explore in the next habit. Gentlemen, let's be honest. For many of you, the bladder has become just as much of an enemy as the prostate itself. I've lost count of how many men have sat across from me, eyes heavy with fatigue, and said, "Doctor, the moment I feel the urge I have to run, I can't trust my body anymore." They believe this loss of control is permanent, but it's not. The bladder, like any muscle, can be trained and retrained. Take Mr. Harold, a 70-year-old grandfather of 5. He confessed that for years, every decision in his day revolved around the nearest bathroom. At church, he sat by the exit. At the movies, he scouted the restroom before the previews began. On road trips, he insisted on stopping every hour. He thought it was inevitable that life had simply shrunk around his bladder. But what Harold didn't realize was that he had trained his bladder to panic. Each time he rushed to the toilet at the first signal, he reinforced the idea that urgency meant emergency. Over years, the bladder became like a frightened child, crying out too early, too often. Here's the breakthrough: just as the bladder can be trained into weakness, it can be retrained into strength. I taught Harold to wait, not an hour, not even 10 minutes, just 1 minute. When the urge came, instead of bolting, he sat still, breathed slowly, and reminded himself that his bladder wasn't actually full. Over weeks, he stretched that waiting time: 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10. At first, he said it was almost unbearable, but gradually the signals quieted. His bladder learned a new normal. The change was life-altering. Months later, Harold told me, "Doctor, I can finally watch my grandson's entire baseball game without leaving my seat. I no longer live as a prisoner of restrooms." His voice carried something I wish every man could feel: relief, dignity, freedom. Bladder retraining works best when paired with pelvic floor exercises. Gentle contractions of those deep muscles add strength and control. Imagine it like building a foundation under a house that had been leaning for years. Suddenly the structure holds. Suddenly you hold. And let me be clear, this is not about ignoring pain or forcing yourself beyond reason. It's about gradual, respectful training. Just as you wouldn't expect to lift 100 pounds on your first day in the gym, you don't demand your bladder to hold for hours right away. You start small, you build, the bladder responds. There's also a psychological dimension. Every time you wait, you prove to yourself that you, not your prostate, not your bladder, are in control. That shift changes how you walk into a restaurant, how you plan a trip, how you live your life. You no longer scan for bathrooms, you scan for opportunities, and the science backs this up. Studies on bladder training show measurable reductions in urgency and frequency for men who practice consistently. It's not theory, it's reproducible. And gentlemen, you can try it tonight. The next time you feel the urge, pause, count to 60, breathe, let your body learn. But here's the catch: even if you retrain your bladder, one hidden factor can undo everything: stress. Silent, constant stress tightens muscles, floods your body with cortisol, and keeps your prostate in a state of inflammation. That's why the final habit may be the most underrated of all. We'll explore how mastering stress can unlock true relief and restore calm, not only to your nights but to your life. Gentlemen, I want you to think about something most men overlook: stress. When you picture stress, you might think of a pounding heart, tight shoulders, or restless thoughts. But what if I told you that stress doesn't just live in your mind, it lodges itself in your body right down to your prostate? I've treated men who swore up and down, "Doctor, I don't get stressed, I just push through." Yet their bodies told a different story. Cortisol levels elevated, muscles clenched, pelvic tension so strong it felt like a constant grip. The truth is simple: stress chemistry fuels inflammation. And when inflammation rises, the prostate swells, the bladder grows restless, and urination becomes a battle. Let me tell you about Mr. Frank, a 74-year-old retired engineer. He was a man of logic and discipline, the kind who could design a bridge to hold 1,000 cars but couldn't design a single night of peaceful sleep for himself. He had tried everything: medications, minor procedures, even dietary changes, but the urgency never let up. When I asked him about downtime, he laughed. "Doctor, I've never believed in wasting time on meditation. I just keep moving." But moving wasn't helping. His body was trapped in fight or flight mode. So I taught him one simple exercise: slow breathing. Inhale gently for 4 seconds, hold for 2, exhale slowly for 6. He agreed reluctantly, thinking it was too trivial to matter. But a month later, Frank returned with astonishment in his eyes. "Doctor, I finally slept through the night. For the first time in years, I didn't wake up with that crushing pressure." What changed wasn't his prostate size overnight. It was the muscle tension melting away as stress chemistry eased. And here's the beauty: it doesn't take a yoga studio or hours of meditation to calm your body. It can be as simple as a quiet walk in the park, a prayer before bed, listening to music that soothes you, or taking 5 deliberate breaths in your chair before dinner. These small practices send a powerful message to your nervous system: you are safe, you can let go. You can heal. Science backs this up. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, which triggers inflammation and worsens urinary symptoms. On the flip side, relaxation lowers cortisol, improves circulation, and reduces muscle tightness in the pelvic floor. That's not philosophy, it's measurable biology. Gentlemen, I can't stress this enough. Emotional well-being is not separate from physical health. They are woven together. When you calm your mind, you calm your body. And when you calm your body, your prostate finally has the chance to rest. I've seen men who felt doomed by years of discomfort suddenly rediscover freedom once they made relaxation a daily ritual. One man told me, "Doctor, I didn't just get my nights back, I got my peace back." That's the quiet victory I want for you too. Now imagine what happens when you combine this stress management with the other habits: timing your hydration, daily movement, anti-inflammatory foods, and bladder training. You're not just treating symptoms, you're creating a lifestyle of healing. And that's the secret no one tells men over 60: you are not powerless. We're almost at the finish line. Next, I'll bring everything together: the 5 habits, the stories, the science, and show you how to take the first step today toward lasting freedom. Gentlemen, we've traveled through 5 habits together, and I hope by now you see the bigger picture. Your prostate is not your enemy. It is a part of you, and like any part of you, it responds to how you live, how you move, how you eat, and even how you breathe. For too long, men have been told that aging means surrender. But the truth is, small, steady changes can restore dignity, peace, and control. Let's take a moment to recap. First, we learned that hydration is about timing, not just quantity. Drinking earlier in the day frees your nights. Second, we saw how daily movement, just 20 or 30 minutes, restores circulation and calms inflammation. Third, we explored food as medicine. Tomatoes, broccoli, pumpkin seeds, salmon, and green tea, all powerful allies that starve inflammation. Fourth, we uncovered how bladder training transforms panic into patience, weakness into control. And fifth, we faced the overlooked culprit, stress. By calming your body through slow breathing, prayer, or time in nature, you lower cortisol and allow healing to begin. These habits are not complicated, expensive, or risky. They are practical, they are repeatable, and most importantly, they work. I've seen men who thought their best days were behind them reclaim their nights, regain their strength, and walk into life with confidence again. That's the gift I want for you. Now let me speak to you directly. You don't have to do everything at once. Pick one habit. Tonight, start with hydration timing. Tomorrow, take a short walk. The next day, add tomatoes to your lunch. Step by step, habit by habit, you'll notice the shift. And before long, the momentum of healing will carry you further than you imagined. But I don't want this to be a one-way street. This channel isn't about me talking and you listening. It's about building a brotherhood of men who refuse to give up. So here's my invitation. Hit that like button right now. Let it be a marker of your decision to fight for your health. When you do, may your nights grow calmer, your mornings stronger, and your years ahead richer with vitality. Subscribe and turn on notifications. That way you'll never miss the next conversation, the next tool that might just change your life. Leave a comment. Tell me which habit you'll start with tonight. Write hydration, movement, food, bladder, or stress. Your choice might inspire another man who's silently searching for hope. And if you found this valuable, share it with a friend, a brother, or a father who needs encouragement. Sometimes the best gift we can give is knowledge and hope. Gentlemen, let me close with this. Your future is not determined by your age. You are not powerless. These 5 habits are not just about shrinking a prostate, they are about restoring your life. I've walked this journey with men for over 30 years, and I've seen too many miracles to believe decline is inevitable. Healing is possible, dignity is possible, and freedom is waiting for you one choice at a time. So tonight, take that first step. And tomorrow, take another. I'll be here walking beside you.